Cerebral nuclei are collections of gray matter deep inside the cerebrum. They help to regulate motor output. We have the caudate nucleus and the lentiform nucleus. The lentiform nucleus is comprised of the putamen and the globus pallidus, and then the caudate nucleus is the enlarged head and the slender tail that kind of lays parallel to the lateral ventricles. The claustrum is a thin sliver of gray matter immediately inside or internal to the insula. And the amygdala is the expanded region at the tail of the caudate nucleus. This functions in mood and emotion, especially stress and danger. And the corpus striatum is the striped appearance we get of the large white matter tract called the internal capsule. Here with the cerebral nuclei, you can see we've got the putamen, we've got the globus pallidus. Together, that's the lentiform nucleus. And then the lentiform nucleus, along with the caudate nucleus, is going to form the corpus striatum. And then the claustrum is this little bit that you see here that lays parallel to the insula. Huntington's disease is a hereditary disease affecting the cerebral nuclei. It ends in rapid, jerky, involuntary movements and can cause some intellectual issues. It's fatal within 10 to 20 years after onset. Parkinson's disease is a similar issue to Huntington's. It is not hereditary, though. It does affect muscle movement and balance. Patients develop a stiff posture and their movements slow down. They develop a resting tremor, often described in the hands as pill rolling. And a lot of times they'll start to develop a Parkinsonian mask, where the voluntary function of the facial muscles starts to become compromised and they're unable to generate any kind of facial expression. Parkinson's is due to a decrease in dopamine in an area called the substantia nigra. Moving on into the diencephalon, we've got the epithalamus, the thalamus, and the hypothalamus. Here we've got our corpus callosum, and then our fornix, and then this whole area is the kind of separation between the two halves of the thalamus. Here in the middle, we've got the interthalamic adhesion, and here at the back, we have the habenular nucleus. The epithalamus is comprised of the pineal gland and the habenular nuclei. Habena means rein, as in horse reins. Habenula is the little reins, and they help to relay signals from the limbic system to the midbrain. The pineal gland functions in secreting melatonin, which is important in regulating circadian rhythm, which is your day-night cycle. The thalamus is the two oval masses of gray matter on the sides of the third ventricle. There's a little adhesion, as we mentioned. It's the little eye of the strange-looking duck head. There's about a dozen thalamic nuclei that are paired, and the thalamus receives signals from all the conscious senses except for olfaction. It's kind of a relay center or a switching center for a lot of that sensory input, and it helps us to focus on certain sensations and filter others out. For example, if you're trying to have a conversation with somebody in a noisy room, you want to go ahead and focus on their voice and not all the background information. Here's a model of the thalamus. You can see a lot of the different nuclei. You don't need to know all their names. The hypothalamus sits below the thalamus. The infundibulum literally means funnel. It's a little stalk of the pituitary that extends down from the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus itself is important for controlling autonomic functions. These are the automatic things that your brain takes care of, things like digestion and respiration and heart rate. And the hypothalamus also functions in control of the endocrine system, secreting hormones that are used in other places in the body. The hypothalamus also functions in regulation of body temperature, food intake, water intake, sleep and wake rhythms, and emotional behavior. The hypothalamus is part of the limbic system, which controls emotional responses. Here it is down here. You can see the little funnel of the infundibulum. This area here is the optic chiasm, where the optic nerves are going to merge together and partially decussate with each other. And then here's all those little hypothalamic nuclei.